Don't you start. Cheddar, white cheddar, sour cream and a cinnamon.
And you can't even walking by your house like you're a deer and I never realized it was your house. Your dog's out there. Yeah, I know. 'Cause it was funny because Aaron always talked about being a neighbor and I was like, then one day I saw her father peeking up over the roof. I was like, oh, there, and then I saw you out the dog. Oh, yeah. I told him, I
outside. I was like, that sounds right.
get an extension cord.
That sounds
Put the
right.
popper outside and watch it.
I guess your name, don't say it out loud.
Right, Byron. We gotta have our.
I mean, we've never done it from our home. It's been spoken once.
The one that Lisa did, it wasn't.
No, just the same thing. But where we do it in our office, I used to do it without setting it off. I just,
Well,
I don't want to risk
I
it.
got a tour for the dance and it was fine then.
I'm not allowed, you know.
Then they made it, she goes,
Again today?
Betty, can I interest you in some popcorn, Jessica? Later on, can I?
Thanks.
I was gonna ask.
Gotta have a plan.
She would have said no, so I would have gotten up and gotten it. I know.
Go ahead, you can, yeah. I'm gonna start either way.
I could.
A little tight.
All right, I have 6:30, so I'm gonna call our meeting to order. And with that right away, I'll invite a motion to move to executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person or persons. Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
We're gonna have to trust the whole class.
I think about it there and just, my mom, one of them, away.
Like a tiny house, like, yeah, it's like a one place studio.
All right, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes from 11/12/24. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Stacy? Oh, I get to make comments. Well, thank you all for carrying on last time. I'd have much rather been here than not be here. Just as a reminder, COVID is still amongst us. And it's not fun, so, but it's good to be back with you all. No updates to the agenda or no correspondence.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to thank Stacy Petrie for expressing interest in stepping up to serve the on the OCM BOCES Board of Directors. For those that have been around for some time, Portland and Homer is represented by one board member, and we alternate the responsibility of providing that board member. This was Portland's year to have a representative. Unfortunately, the person that was the representative has had some an illness that is precluding her from continuing. And so Matt Cook had reached out and asked if we could pull the board to identify somebody, and Stacy said she would be interested. And so you'll see later in the meeting, we will have a motion for you to consider having her become part of the OCM BOCES board. That's all I have.
And I believe that moves us to our board presentation.
It does, and we are here at the elementary school, and as has been the ritual for some time now, when we're in the building, we ask the building to present something new and exciting that's going on. And so Mr. Pasquarella, whose nickname is New and Exciting, will outline what's going on. Mr. Pasquarella.
Okay, let's freeze. All right, good evening, board. Ironically, and maybe it's not ironic to our admin team, but our elementary has been able to present before Thanksgiving. So I am going to be short and sweet. I wrote my points down, because if I don't, we could be here for a while, and I think everybody would like to see your family at some point. That being said, our committee is here with us tonight. They'll also be presenting as well. The one thing that should be noted is that this idea of what we're presenting to you tonight came to us last year as we were thinking about presenting to the board. So let me just share with you. Over the past couple of years, we've had the opportunity to share with you the following: a look inside Homer Elementary, what is Blue Pride, Homer Elementary, second step, and now tonight we'll share with you about collaboration and how that supports our students social, emotionally, and academically. What does collaboration mean to you? I ask you that as a board. I see you all looking at the screen, and it'll be ready for in a second. And we did send it out early. Kevin put it out on social media. That was intentional. But that being said, what does collaboration mean to you? For us, it means the following, but not limited to: vertical and horizontal alignment, sustainable, guaranteed and viable, agendas, norms, working agreements, housekeeping, social, emotional, and academic needs, supportive, collaborative, sharing best practices, growing professionally and personally, moving out of our comfort zones, appreciated, a listener, voice heard, and validated. In the past 5 years, our building has had unbelievable professional and personal growth from both our students and staff based on this collaboration time. 5 years ago, bringing back to that, Mr. Mullins mentioned COVID, we were in 3 buildings. Our staff were collaborating in those 3 buildings, but typically those meetings were generally housekeeping. But it did build the foundation for team building and foster a working environment to ensure building working agreements. Fast forward to today, our grade level teams meet every 4 days for 40 or 50 minutes to ensure instruction for all while supporting staff strengths to meet student needs. Key takeaway from our work is now our professional responsibility to ensure student success with intended purpose. Our building goal for the past 2 years has been to identify specific building percentage of our students at each grade level to meet grade literacy benchmarks by using FastBridge. In order to do so, we must collaborate and look at this data. Let's take a look at our collaboration tax here at Home Elementary.
At Homer Elementary School, collaboration meetings are redefining how we approach education, creating a ripple effect of benefits for students, staff, and the community.
Our collaboration meetings are a time where we can get together as a team and really look at how our curriculum is working. If we are able to look at the data to see how the kids are scoring and if we need to make any changes to address those needs.
These meetings empower educators to share innovative ideas and incorporate engaging themes into their lesson plans.
Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and we can kind of adapt our program to fit those weaknesses, so we can learn off of each other to get better at what we're doing, and then we can share what we have seen success in and share that with the other teachers so that they can kind of mimic that if they're struggling in those areas.
By leveraging data-driven tools, teachers continuously refine their strategies to meet academic standards and district-wide goals.
We've had the opportunity to take a look at so much data so early this year, which has been absolutely fantastic. We have been able to come up with reading supports earlier, interventions supports earlier. The changes that we've experienced in like our report cards and stuff like that has also, really helped us shift, which has been fantastic.
Collaboration also strengthens teamwork, allowing teachers to learn from one another's strengths and address challenges collectively.
It's great that we have a chance to verify what we're seeing and be on the same page. We all bring things to the table.
And while there has been exciting progress, this initiative has just begun.
And I think that's been really cool because there's so many different opinions in our team. That we're able to take like each other's strengths and work together to come up with something that'll be great for our students, because at the end of the day, really that's what it's about.
Before we start, I know everybody knows me, I'm Erin Hammes. Do you guys want to just introduce yourself?
Carissa Rockwell, second grade chair.
Jacqueline Davis, school psychologist with K to 2.
And I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of the teachers that were willing to be recorded, because not everybody likes to do that. But hopefully your big takeaway from that video was how much our teachers really highly value our collaboration time. It's their opportunity to learn from each other for the benefit of all kids. Almost all of them said that. But also to get away from the controlled chaos that is elementary school, actually sit down for 2 seconds, and talk to their colleagues to think critically, to think innovatively, for the benefit of all our kiddos. The instructional leaders, we also really highly value this time for the same reasons, but also we can't always be there. There might be student needs or dismissal staffing or whatever pops up, but we know that these collaboration meetings we can trust they're in really great hands. Chrissy Hartnett, extraordinaire, right? And just our staff is super dedicated to this time. I also want to point out that Mariah Bonowitz in our main office, she's able to do some real magical things to make sure that we get the right people at the table. We have the best laid plans, but absences happen, and we make sure that we get the right people at the table for all of these meetings and our 4-day rotation. We also have these very detailed agendas. You can kind of see them in the video that Chrissy makes sure gets out early and everybody can review it. So even if, we have enough time to be able to say, all right, Doug and I need to be at this meeting, or not that sometimes it's just a text message and one of us is running, but having those agendas that get to the right people and everything, it just makes sure that we stay focused and we stay dedicated to the point, which is making sure our kids are getting what they need. And the other thing I wanted to point out is, obviously, anything that is of value is always evolving. You want to make sure that you're checking to see if there's any opportunities for growth. And one thing that we've incorporated this year is for our big kids, K through 2, we have a reading teacher that's able to be assigned to that grade level and really bring their level of expertise to the collaboration also. I think that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Carissa to be able to speak at the grade level.
I thought more along the grade level chair aspect of the data meetings. I want to touch on a couple things that Mr. Pascal had said, in combination with you. But meeting every 4 days really allows us to kind of stay on top of things and sometimes even get ahead of the game. And I think that's really important because instead of us always playing catch up, we're now kind of looking ahead going, all right, we know this data point is coming up, let's go over that rubric, let's make sure that's okay. And it keeps us going. I also want to touch base with the agendas. Thank you, Mrs. Hartnett, for always keeping us on task. Sometimes we do come in and we're a little riled up, but it's fun and it's exciting to get together and see that person on your grade level that maybe is 2 floors down from you that you only see them passing in the hall. So it's nice to kind of do that quick little catch up and have those fun little, you're off task words, ours is squirrel, so gets us back on track. But going back to the agenda, I think with Chrissy really putting an agenda together that really focuses on our norms, putting together meeting rules, our speaking points, that keeps us focused, it keeps us going, and gets us right to the point so that we're not wasting anybody's time, because we know time is very important. So we want to make sure that we're making the most of it. Speaking of the housekeeping and the data, those types of, I will put my own housekeeping agenda together and share it out with my team. But after, kind of collaborating with Chrissy, we're always finding that we basically almost have the same things on our agenda. So I look at that as a great thing, is that I'm trying to keep my team one step ahead of the game, and then finding that when we get to the meetings, Chrissy and I are always talking about the same things, and it's always data-driven. And if we have the time where we've talked about our data points, then it's a really great time to catch up on our housekeeping so that, again, we're staying one step ahead and, talking about those upcoming field trips or those fun little projects that we're doing amongst the grade level. I think when it comes to the interventions, you had mentioned intervention time. Because of the fluidity of the interventions and the things that we talk about and the data points are so specific on what we are doing, it makes the fluidity of the intervention time very easy to just kind of slide into the meeting, realize that we're missing one person, we're waiting on them, play catch up. Hey, how about this? What's going on? What do you think? And it's a quick little whoop, and we're sliding kids when we need to instead of having to wait to a certain point. And that I think really speaks to the purpose of intervention time. Sorry, you'll have a turn.
No. It's all right, you're covering a lot of that. I'm just
Speaking back to having the data meetings 5 years ago, I will speak on behalf of my team when I say we used to walk in and out of those data meetings with our heads spinning, going which way's up. I don't know what's next. What does all that mean? What is my takeaway? And it was a learning process for the teachers, as much as taking that all away and trying to figure out how is this going to be a learning process for the kids. And it is no longer that. It is, we walk in, we know what we're doing, we walk out, and we have another to-do list, which isn't always a bad thing. We know exactly which direction that we're supposed to go. And again, I think that leads well to what we're there for, which is the students. And finally, we're getting there. We are starting to sprinkle in vertical alignment meetings within our building, and I think that's really important. I say sprinkled in there because we're doing it when we can and when we find the time, even if it's a half an hour here or there. We had a half an hour meeting during our last staff day once everybody got back to the elementary, and it was a phenomenal feeling for the whole building to sit here and go, okay, this is what our data looks like. This is what our curriculum looks like. We were looking at writing and what that looks like and what everybody's takeaways were from every grade level. And it was so enlightening to walk away as a second grade team going, okay. But, that was comforting knowing that we're having the same struggles or we're finding the same wins and being able to make those connections with other grade levels and say, all right, what are you doing? How can I build upon that? What do you need from me? So that vertical alignment, as well as that, as was mentioned, that horizontal alignment is spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to finding more time to meet for vertical alignment.
So I will be briefer, but I think you covered a lot too. So I look at it more in that building lens, that big
So a big picture look at it is it's that awesome view and look at the data and the impact on the system. So going back to what do all kids need? So there's that enrichment opportunity, grade level, right? Our kids who need just a little bit more to meet grade level, and those kids who need that intensive service. So there's options and opportunities to work on that. We also this year, and we started last year, really trying to incorporate more of that social emotional component within that. Their agendas are tight, but where we are fitting it in is with that finance, so that social emotional screener. So what our team, we have the same process for academic and social emotional. So today, even our mini team, Jeff actually got to sit in for part of it, met to review our data. Our next step is we go to the grade levels and we give an overview of what that data looks like, right? So that opportunity, I think, is huge, and there's more follow-up from there with specific teachers, but just having that collaboration time so the whole group can look at the big picture of what things are going well in the grade level, what are areas that we really need to work on in that social emotional behavioral lens. So that's a big piece. We keep saying Chrissy, but it's true, she's the glue to keeping the meetings consistent across all grade levels. This woman, we did TCI training, she was a trainer with me, and she didn't have to come back over, came back over, because these meetings are important, and she drives that bus and keeps that glue together. The best part is the communication is key, so there's agendas, the agenda she attempts to send them out. The nice thing is I'm on that list, right? So I can attend every collaboration meeting, but Chrissy will say, oh, we need you at this. And I also get the agenda. So I can go in and review things that were talked about, maybe look at that intervention data, whatever it might be. And that really, really helps from that systems perspective. And just to see, oh, maybe second grade is having difficulty with this. What can I do to support that? And the payoff, this was a piece that I was thinking about. The payoff of our collaboration time is illustrated by the reading data at the intermediate school. So what we have found, and we've heard, which is exciting, is fewer students are in need of that intensive reading support by third grade as that collected Fastbridge data. So I've said in these meetings sometimes too, like, I know it feels like, we aren't closing the gap quickly sometimes, but we're finding that that payoff is coming from this work. It just sometimes takes a little bit longer because our kiddos have that brain development piece too.
And to finish off, Chrissy, did you have anything, because Chrissy's been on a little bit of a travel for taking care of family and attending some family functions, so did you want to add anything, because you're a part of our committee that always presents?
No, I think you said it all really well. I would just say this, there was a great example today of the benefits of collaboration time. It was our first grade team today, and they were looking at a math CFA that they had just given. They have a rubric, they already, they had developed the rubric over the summer, changed it to align to our report card and everything, but they bring that student work and we look at it. And there were two teachers that had questions, like they had gone through the rubric and they scored most of it, but they had a question and they said, I just want other eyes on it. I want my colleagues to look at it. And just the conversations that happen about that, and the one teacher had said, it's exactly what I was thinking, but I just wanted to have your verification. That's the importance of a collaborative time, that you get that opportunity to talk to your peers and to just know that I am on the same page. We do have a guaranteed viable curriculum. So they do amazing.
So I'll leave you with a couple things, and our grade level leaders are essential to this work as well, right? So Stacy Heyer didn't come here for that, to be here for that recognition. Carissa Rockwell, we look at Marshall Smith, and then we look at Heather Wood. Those people really help us with Chrissy, making sure that we align those agendas and do that. I do want to point out, she didn't come here for it either, but Allie Cook, so when you start looking at our special areas, math, PE, music, library, and art, they're not sitting at the table in our collaborations, but when we go to PE days, we have them aligned to staff and grade levels. But the other piece I will share is that we've learned since we've added a new playground, we have to teach kids. And in order to teach kids, we've got to make sure the instruction is the same. So in order to have the same instruction, Allison and I think of Mr. McAvoy, along with Mr. Topman, put together PowerPoints and slides on how to appropriately use our equipment. So they taught the kids, but then they also go to the collaboration meetings to have conversations at times when we need to pull that. We pull those other areas too as well. So we're not working in isolation, we're working together. So I think that's a highlight that we need to do. And then I'll just point out 3 words to me that come out of this. Sustainable. It must be sustainable. We learned in our district that we have to make sure that things are sustainable. So this has to be sustainable with the fact that it's not going to cost us much, right? It doesn't cost our kids a thing. Let me tell you why. We're at dismissal. These start at 3 o'clock. These meetings start at 3 o'clock or 3:10, and that's when those meetings take place. And we've trialed and errored that by going at the beginning of the day, and we found out let's stay at our sweet spot at the end of the day. The other one is leaders. We're creating leaders. It's not a principal leader. It's not led by a principal. It's led by our staff. No, that's part of it. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. There is no better way to share the load than have everybody do the work together. There's not one single person that can lead this work. It has to be done collectively. And then the last part, with all those 3 things, student achievement will rise. And that's what we have. So, thank you all. Questions? Because now I'll turn it over to you guys. So go ahead.
I got questions. What do you find to be the biggest need of our current students in your learning? Whether it's educational, emotional, social, like, what do you find that you're seeing a pattern of in the current age group?
I don't know if I think there's a biggest need. Kind of time, they need time, consistency. Obviously, there's a lot of SEL needs, but I feel like we're really doing a great job with it. There's a lot of things going well for us. Our second steps is happening in all the classrooms. I feel like that is a crown achievement. I feel like Jacqueline and company, we have our whole little team, they're doing a great job using the BIMAS data, like you were already saying, to determine interventions. But I don't want to say that that's our greatest need. I feel like it's just time. Our kids are so little. They just need the consistency. I don't know, are you guys missing, you think something different?
And I'll push one more thing. I think what we've found over that time is that not just these collaboration meetings are the essential piece. We now have meetings during the day. So a teacher will create a generated meeting to say, I need to get together with many people to figure out the need of one child or multiple children. And that has created that internal drive that, again, not principal led, because I think that's really important, right? Who's doing the heavy lifting? Teacher. So the teacher creates the meeting and says, who do you need there? Now they can let Mariah, they can let us know, but then they're scheduling meetings so they can get people together. So that time piece is just about, it's facilitated an opportunity for people to say, we just need a meeting. And meeting is important, even though it may take time from our classroom. So getting permission for time, I think, is important.
The only other thought I have, one thing I think we're seeing a little bit more is executive functioning as an area where many students struggle in that. So we've been doing more, like I actually have a few brand new executive functioning groups I'm trying out. We also do our crew has some push-ins with classrooms that really need that, so.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
No, you're fine.
What does that mean?
Big umbrella for attention, focus, working memory, things that correlate a bit with ADHD, but maybe aren't. Or maybe they are, but it's still those skills behind it.
Or studies have shown that, like, screen time, reels, things like that have lowered their ability to stay focused on.
I think we're kind of seeing that ripple, and it's widespread. So we have a few classrooms that we're pushing in and doing small group work. Like we might have 4 kids working on executive functioning with 1 adult. So we're really trying to target the need, I guess, is one thing. But that's like a newer thing, I'm saying newer, so to speak.
Go for it.
My other question is, so you said it's 40 minutes every 4 days, and then how do you take that back to your team? So how many, like, minute-wise for collaboration among your grade level team to go share what you just discussed with this?
They're all
The grade
there.
levels
The
there.
grade levels there.
They're all
Every
together.
teacher in that grade's there, so the 40 minutes, right, Stacy,
Oh.
is pre-K.
So
They're
on
getting
the
40
video, it was just some people, but.
That,
No,
no,
that was
that was
everybody.
her grades. They actually were videos of each grade sitting and working. So every grade, so pre-K, K, 1 and 2 all have their own day. By the way, we just do it by, matching up days, right? So, but they get 4 days, it just rotates through, and the nice part this year, which has been an advantage, a gain, has been doing on a 4-day cycle. We used to do days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we
always
found
goes
out,
that.
thanks to Mr. Turk, a snow day came, that group didn't meet, right? And so, and they, you know, he was getting nasty messages probably. But now we're 4 day cycle, so.
It's the whole grade level, plus for our big kids, they also have a reading teacher. And then the special education teachers that work with that grade level go to the meeting. If it's SEL, we need Jacqueline, she's at that meeting. No matter what
Social
grade
workers
levels.
might go to that
Right,
meeting,
right.
how it's needed. Yeah.
Compliment you guys. I think the effort you've been doing with the social emotional learning is paying off. I mean, my daughter, she's able to talk about her feelings. I think I've said that a lot, but it's crazy. It's crazy how they're able to place words to their emotions, work through that, and that I think that comes directly out of the programs that you guys have in place. That I mean, yes, they're learning other things, but being able to communicate and stuff is something that you guys are doing an outstanding job with. And you know, hats off to the whole group that is in charge of that, and whether it's the program or whatever, it's working, and you guys are doing an outstanding job with that. I want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
I think what you're seeing is an outcome of the importance of vertical alignment, because when the grade levels are able to talk with each other above and below, we're able to build off of one another, as well as the program itself, so. Thank you.
How often does that happen? Vertical alignment?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the next part of us, that, right? So, again, creating that sustainability and now figuring out how can we make that in there so we're not actually interfering with taking people out of the classroom all day. How do we incorporate those? So, with the Chrissy, we've got 2 set up, right? So we're looking at those right now and then figuring out how we grow from that. That's how we've started with a lot of the things that we've done. Start small and then build from that to make sure that we can sustain that and be able to cover in our building and staff. Because those are gonna be full day opportunities for our staff to be meeting to talk about work releases.
Thank you both. Appreciate it very much.
Mrs. Rockwell, Robert John.
She looks thrilled. Absolutely thrilled.
And Mrs. Rockwell hates when I say, take her for ice cream, take her for a nice dinner, do something special.
She can have some popcorn. All right, we'll turn our attention to new business. With that, I'll have a motion to approve the warrants, reports, and the claims auditors reports. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Questions or comments?
The money that was transferred over that I asked you about, Tom, is there a use for that or any kind of thing? Or
So-
just use that at their discretion?
Well, so the question that Amy had asked was, there were 3 clubs at the intermediate school that weren't active, so they condensed, essentially dismissed those clubs, but then took the funds that were in that, moved it into the student government, for lack of a better term, student council. I'm not aware of what the uses are. I'm sure they'll have plenty of
They
use.
would follow the same process,
Yeah.
so it'd be discretionary, where the club would meet with the principal, and then they would decide to do it.
But I don't know that it's been identified yet where it's going.
Additional questions and comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We have a few informational items there for you, an investment summary and a budget status, revenue status report for, just for your light reading later into the evening. Move to our reports here on preschool education, so I need a motion to approve the reports from the Committee on Preschool Special Education.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve the reports from the Committee on Special Education. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Need a motion to approve the disposal of items from the intermediate school, high school, and buildings and grounds department.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve the JV and varsity baseball team trip to Baltimore, Maryland, April 15th, 16th. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve the 24-25 tax collection report.
So moved.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And for that one, we have a actual hand signature that we need to do that will be coming around for your signature showing that we've approved that. On to our policies. Motion to approve the listed policies after second reading for final adoption.
Second.
Questions or comments, and if you do have a question or a comment, please notify which policy you're talking about. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion to approve Stacy Petrie as the Homer Portland representative on the OCM BOCES Board of Education. Questions or comments?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve personnel as presented by Superintendent Turk. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I believe that gives us around to informational items.
Yes, we have some fundraising updates for you from the high school. We've got a very active class of 2027 planning some fundraising. Our DECA group as well, and our student government has a couple that they're planning to do.
This would normally be the time where our community would be able to share with us. I don't see anybody signed up. Anybody wishing to be heard in this space? Not seeing anybody move, we're gonna keep working. We do not have any board committee reports, but we do have a few district committee reports.
We do. We have the safety committee. They have met since our last meeting, and Mr. Falls will bring us up to date on what the topic of discussion was in that meeting.
Sure, we had a virtual safety meeting November 13th. We had, to date, the largest group. Tom can test me on it. There were 20 people, so Amy got to back me up. There were at least 20 names on the screen during the meeting. We covered several items. Our old business, we talked about our capital project, our fire safety training, with our new fire safety alarms in the buildings, which I realized after I was the only one that could hear it during the meeting when I played it, so I will send that out to the group. We also talked about our Navigate Prepared system, which is our student tracking and staff tracking system, and where we need to go from there, and some of the updates they provided. We also talked about as well, one of the items that had been brought forward by a board member, students with special needs or physical needs will have individual plans during fire drills and, to make sure that they're accommodated and taken care of safely in any type of emergency. We talked about our NYSER, which is our school insurance cooperative inspections through the district, which have been completed. And to date, about 99% of those items have been addressed. We talked about district water testing. For those of you who aren't aware, that the state requires that the district go through and do water testing on any potable water sources in every building. They've dropped the threshold for it passing. So we will start those inspections over Christmas break and then go through that process to identify any fixtures that need to be replaced within the district. Those reports will be made public, they'll be made public and be brought to the Board of Education as well. So that's all part of the process. We talked about the state education system, put out a new safety frequently asked questions. So homework for the group was to review that document and come back at our next meeting with any questions or concerns with that. We had a very lively roundtable. We had a positive response from one of the members to our SROs in our buildings. We talked about vaping and how to combat that issue in our buildings. We talked about light fixtures in the classrooms. As you're aware, in most of the buildings, we replaced the light fixtures. They all have dimming features prior to that. In classrooms, folks had hung what looked like to be flags over the light fixtures. The state doesn't allow you to do that. However, the question was brought forth, I believe, by you, Amy. Do the actual providers of the lighting systems have something that would be comparable to that? So we've asked that question. We're still waiting for feedback. We talked about building level safety teams and safety plans. And Tom, I didn't know if you wanted to speak at all about reunification plans across the district?
Yeah, at our last administrative team meeting, we took quite a bit of time and just revisited our plans that we had established in the past, and recognizing that some of our understanding of how to react to emergency situations has evolved over time. So we had a conversation with the administrative group where we talked about where are our initial evacuation sites if we do need to leave the building, a secondary evacuation site where we would move our kids to, and a common one in the district, and then finally a reunification site where we would then stage our families to reunite with their children. All of the building folks are planning their individual building safety team meetings that Mike and I will attend to make sure that we have the district perspective in those. It's really just, it's good practice really to revisit these things and have ongoing conversations. God forbid we have to ever use them, but things that are practiced are usually met with greater success. And so our plan is to do a tabletop with our law enforcement and first responders early this spring. And then as we talk more at the administrative level to determine an appropriate actual drill where we'll move kids to those evacuation sites. So again, just to be prepared in the event that we need to activate our plans.
We had a question come up from one of the members. What can families do to be more involved in our safety planning, which is great. So we've asked folks to reach out again. We do have representation across the district from administration, teaching staff, parents, our safety coordinator, local law enforcement, and safety folks. So the more the merrier. We can fit more on our virtual meetings. So the more folks we can get. In the last part, we did discuss the building entry. With COVID, we had addressed different ways for building entry. And just getting back to that to reinforce within buildings again, that as we're buzzing people in, taking that time to ask the appropriate questions, making sure people are being viewed in the cameras, and again, going to the point too to make sure we respray paint those little gold footprints that you're supposed to stand in order to look in the cameras. So those are all things that we'll be attending to through operations and maintenance. Anyone else who was at or on the meeting wish to add anything to it? So, any questions from anyone? We're going to, and if you'd like to attend, We will be meeting again virtually on February 12th, 2025. That gives you 13 shopping days to my birthday.
It's more time than I'll need.
You give the gift that keeps on giving.
All right, thank you, Michael. The other group that met was the Community Engagement Committee. And I'll ask my very capable colleague and facilitator, Josh Finn, to talk about the content of that.
Thanks, Tom. So we met last Wednesday, the 20th, and one of the things that I was really pleased to see is a couple of the folks who did attend the meeting did their homework and they brought a buddy. So we had 2 new individuals at our meeting, which was great because one individual has heretofore been unaffiliated with the district. He has kids that go to the district, but hasn't participated in any events or meetings or committees. This was his first one. And another one had kids that had graduated from the district 4 or 5 years ago. So she was a really good representative because she has that perspective of, wow, I was so embedded, I was so engaged, and poof, right? So we learned that almost every single person in the committee lived within 3 blocks of each other. So we talked a little bit about our neighborhoods, but then the conversation went on to talk about our communications plan. So before COVID, we identified that the need was to create a communications plan. That's been a goal and a strategy from the beginning, but as everybody's aware, COVID had a way of really messing with the best laid plans. So we're doubling down, we're tripling down to make sure that we have this communication plan. And the goal of the communication plan is then to identify who our audience is, the way we share information with them, and what kind of information we share with them. And once we have an idea of what that is, the goal is to build a matrix so you can say, okay, we know that we have alumni, and we know that we use Facebook, and we want to make sure that we use Facebook to talk about changes to facilities to alumni, right? So that way we can kind of mark that out. So when we have something to share, we know exactly who it goes to and exactly how to get a hold of them. Now there's going to be some work, right, between that conception and the reality, and that's what we're starting to do. We have that framework, and actually, like Mike said, our committee has homework as well. That homework is to really start to brainstorm on what those 3 topics are. So we can identify, sure, we want to make sure that we cover the community, but what does that mean? What groups do we want to make sure we haven't missed? And what types of information sources do we want to make sure that we don't miss? So that's our homework for our next meeting. We meet again on the 18th of December. And as we do, we're going to be filling out and fleshing out what is currently an outline of the communication plan. Hopefully that'll be done. The goal would be before the end of the school year. And then that will act as the bedrock that we can use moving forward when developing and communicating how to communicate.
Questions for Josh, myself?
All right, very good. Move to board member activities.
A couple weeks ago, I attended the All-State Festival, which, I'm just trying to pull up how many kids were there. 40 schools were represented, 311 kids, and it was at the high school. And I just want to shout out to the music department because, I walked in just kind of not knowing what I was going to see, and it was remarkable. And I talked to a student from Ithaca who was blown away by the sound in the music room. And then also a student from Vestal thought that our stage was amazing. And a lot of parents, this place is so clean, so just wanted to, I couldn't make last meeting, but I did want to do the list.
I've been hanging out with some junior high basketball.
That's a good time.
It's interesting, but
Plenty of energy.
doing that. Oh, and Antigone. Hollywood helped if I looked at the program before I watched the show. I would have had better idea of what it was, but by the third show,
buildings and grounds folks that last Friday, even though we didn't have school, by about 7:30, the lots were clear and people could have accessed the school, they could have actually gotten there. I understand parts of our district, that wasn't a possibility. But just, the buildings and ground had our facilities ready, in the event that was possible.
It was actually a nice test run because some of the lots now are different because of the capital project. And so they got an opportunity to see how long it was gonna take them and not have anything in their way, so. Yeah, that was actually a blessing.
I get a pretty good first-hand knowledge when they're
I bet
working.
you- I bet you.
Now I know if it's time to get up or not.
There are benefits of being close
I hear
and
the
some
sun
going
going
up.
up, I'm like, oh, better get up. No, great job by the team. All right, upcoming events.
Yes, Thanksgiving is here. We will be enjoying some time with family and friends here the next few days, and then when we come back, we'll be into December before we know it. And it's really a wonderful month to see all of our talented musicians in the district. And so please mark some of those on your calendar because you won't be disappointed. A lot of work goes into it. To hear the growth from the beginning of the year till now is nothing short of amazing. You were talking about our music folks and always in awe of that and how they can manage such large groups of kids in such a thoughtful way. So we're looking forward to all those in December.
I understand you're part of one of those.
I will be. They won't let me sing.
I think that's wise.
Yes, I think that's probably a good idea, but I will be involved in one, yeah.
All right, now I need a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving.